world that we design. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away.
The special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day.
They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds.
I don't care if they call us crazy.
Run away to a world that we design. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away.
The special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day.
They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds.
I don't care if they call us crazy.
Run away to a world that we design. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day.
They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds.
I don't care if they call us crazy.
Run away to a world that we design. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
尊敬的各位领导、各位来宾、女士们、先生们，欢迎大家莅临到今天云。
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Intelligent Finance Growing with the Cloud session. We are about to start, so please take your seat and remember to silence your mobile phones. And we will show you a QR code on the screen because we've prepared a survey for this session. So if you fill in this survey questionnaire, you can show us the page later after this session at the entrance to this room, and we will give you a small present.
欢迎各位莅临到我们今天引领未来智慧金融峰会的活动现场。我们的会议即将进入倒计时环节，请您抓紧时间入席落座。
We are about to start the Intelligent Finance Growing with the Cloud session. Please take your seat and silence your mobile phone. The QR code on the screen is the link to a survey of our session. If you fill in this survey, later when you exit the room, we will give you a little gift.
尊敬的各位领导、各位来宾、女士们、先生们，再次欢迎各位莅领到。
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Intelligent Finance Growing with the Cloud session. We will start in 2 minutes. Please take your seat. And if you haven't filled in the survey, you can scan the QR code on the screen. If you fill in this survey, when you exit the room after the session, we will give you a small present.
感谢您的莅临，让我们共同期待稍后的。
Thank you for your participation.
Distinguished
guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to Huawei Connect 2020, the session of Intelligent Finance. I'm your host, Sherry, today, and I'm glad to see all of you here. Later, I hope that we can give you an excellent sharing session. The topic today is intelligent finance growing with the cloud, and we will share with you our vision and practices in the fintech session. We also have leaders and experts from the industry present today, and they will share with us their thoughts and experiences with AI, IoT, cloud computing, big data, and the application of other technologies. The financial services industry is moving into a fintech era, and the integration of finance and technology is also accelerating, which brings brand new opportunities for the digital transformation of the industry. We are facing uncertainty and changes at all times. Then how can we turn them into our competitiveness for the future, and how we can overcome the challenges? So next, I would like to invite the President of Global Financial Services BU from Huawei, Mr. Jason Cao. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everyone. I am Jason Cao. I've prepared my speech here. Yesterday in the morning, Mr. Peng talked about what a wonderful morning it would be, and I think this afternoon would also be one of the best. After 1.5 days, we are finally coming to the session talking about finance. Some of you here may have seen that us and the SPD Bank, we have published a white paper, and at this finance session, on behalf of Huawei, I'd like to give you a warm welcome. This year, as we all know, due to the pandemic, a lot of audience are not able to come over here, so we have a lot of friends online. In June, we held our online finance summit. In the past, we have it offline in Shanghai, but this June we held it online, and over 700 million person time viewed the sessions of that summit. I don't know what the number would be today, but from yesterday we estimated that we will have 50 million views online for Huawei Connect 2020. So we are still building up our influence, and we are grateful that friends in all walks of life are still supporting us. So first, I'd like to quickly walk through the situation now, our thoughts, and the direction for the future. First, I'd like to take a quick look at how we are doing in the first half of 2020. Last year and this year are both a challenging year for Huawei. Last year, we have sales revenue totaling 885.8 billion Chinese yuan. And in H1 this year, we have an increase of 13%, sales revenue reaching 454 billion Chinese yuan. This is actually unexpected, but it proves that we are still moving forward and we are positive overcoming the challenges we are facing. I'd also like to thank all of our customers and partners domestically and internationally, because without your help, we wouldn't have been able to achieve this. As for the financial services industry, I'd like to talk about our case in China and internationally. In China, last year, we are now the largest supplier of ICT infrastructure. And in Q2 this year, you can see that we are progressing to the second largest financial cloud service provider. And internationally, especially in an important industry like finance, we wondered whether our customers would lose faith in us, but we did quite well. In 2019 and also in the first 8 months this year, we have a growth rate of over 50%. And we are seeing a lot of leading financial institutes deciding to partner with Huawei. So globally, we are serving over 1,600 financial customers in over 60 countries and regions, including 45 of the world's top 100 banks. So looking at these numbers, I think we are still doing quite well in the global financial industry. And we are seeing huge potential. So that's a brief introduction to our current condition. And in 2020, due to the global pandemic, we are now facing even more uncertainty among the existing one. So we are also thinking about where we will be going. The IMF predicted that the global economy will shrink at least 4.9%. It could even be worse because we see that China is recovering, but the overseas areas are still affected badly by the pandemic. So considering the political and economic situation, we are facing even more challenges with the development of the contactless financial services. We must now consider the question, what does this mean for the financial services industry and how do we respond? In China, we are quickly recovering. We stayed in touch with our overseas customers as well. In the first 3 months of the pandemic, we held over 100 executive-level meetings online with our customers. Later, we will release a new white paper with IDC. We've seen financial institutions in different countries thinking about what they can do, so that's why we developed this white paper. With these communication and collaborations, we see some trends. From the bank's perspective, the influence of the pandemic is profound. Because global banks suffer from credit losses, more employees are working from home. For example, we notice that because employees are working from home, a lot of banks are unable to operate. But business continuity is a must. Home officing or mobile officing, we see that a lot of customers can have a service to the customers, but their own digital operation is poor. So this is an important problem that we need to resolve. Leading banks in China are now able to continue their lending businesses online. I think that's a good trend. We also see a lot of banks are struggling with their cost. They have to improve efficiency and reduce cost. We're also seeing a lot of banks reserving funds for large amount lending. So we need to see how we can help them better prepare and increase the capital adequacy ratio. From our observation, we are seeing changes in customer requirements and how banks can engage with their customers. They also need to have quick changes and transformations, especially that mobile phone applications are an important role in the customer's digital journey. Then how to center on customers to make sure that they can access financial services anytime, anywhere. This is the vision and also the challenge we are facing today. This might not be that urgent in China, but I believe that in other places around the globe, that is the challenge. I heard a story a couple of days ago. Some leader in a certain country asked, and also seeing on TV interviews asking about, are the people getting the remedies? But a lot of people actually said no. That's problematic, and that indicates a lack of channels to make sure people have access to the services they want. So there's a large room for improvement for us. We are seeing changes in banking business and their customer relationships. So a while ago, we proposed 3 directions. First, we need to center on the customer journey and to rethink business continuity management. The financial institutions must rethink and redesign their business continuity management. And they should focus on user services and employee collaboration to deepen their digital transformation. Digital transformation is the first step. We need to enable digital operations. There are still a lot of work to do, and agility is important there. And thirdly, we need to accelerate the adoption of new technologies like 5G, IoT, and cloud, because they will play an important role in responding to future uncertainties. In the white paper, you will see that we are not just responding to massive requirement, but that we see the potential of new technology, so we want to start doing it right away. Today, we may not have a lot of business cases for new technologies yet, but that's a starting point for us to think about how we can convert today's problems into opportunities. With that said, what can Huawei do? So you see the Internet of Things and the intelligent IoT we've been talking about recently. The Shenzhen airport, as well as the Shenzhen government, among many other entities, are also supported by new technologies. So in the future, we still have a few directions that we want to go forward this year. And it's also our positioning update in the financial service industry. We want to treat it as a strategic industry that we will work on. So in the future, our product, organization, and other aspects will be improved. First, we have the cloud foundation. We have the solution launched this morning. You can check it out if you haven't. So we have connectivity and collaboration of the device, edge, and cloud. We want to have the enable of apps, scenario solutions, and capabilities. We will strengthen the cloud foundation we have for the financial service industry. And in terms of the mobile devices, the user access scenarios are also very important. We will continue to improve that. So we've seen achievements in China, but globally, that would be an urgent requirement that needs to be fulfilled. And then in the financial service industry, we are seeing numerous uncertainties. In turn, it indicates the opportunities for both 2B and 2C businesses. We think this is a key capability that we need to have in the future. So for 2B, we have accumulated experience and we have our technical capabilities. So we will further apply the advanced technologies and we will try to scale up cooperation with financial institutes. And also, the other thing is we want to continuously build the ecosystem. We think that the traditional collaboration mode will be changed or updated because we are not using physical cards anymore. So be it individual customers or large customers, software, hardware vendors, and other partners, we need to have a co-built model to develop new products and solutions. I have to admit that in the past, maybe we haven't met many expectations, but we are confident and in the future we will continue to build such an ecosystem, which is one of our top priorities. We hope that partners around the globe can deepen the cooperation with us. And we will explore more unknown scenarios, be it for 2B or 2C. And I hope that customers, partners here, and online audiences can also think about how we can further explore in the future. So the theme of Huawei Connect this year is about the new value. It's new value together. So we will look at the changes in the customer users' behavior and preferences. This could be opportunities for the future. The landscape may still be foggy now, but we need to be future-proof. If we build a better world, our next generations and future generations to come may have a better life.
So that's why Huawei is more than happy to further our cooperation with our partners and customers around the world so as to keep our financial services always online and can always embrace continuous innovation. Again, I'd like to say a big thank you for all the participants and exhibition goer, both online and here. I wish this event a very success. Thank you, Jason, for your amazing opening speech. When digital economy is growing, all industries are now accelerating the process of digitalization. Today, the finance cloud has become an important IT infrastructure for all companies. So now let's welcome Raymond Law, the General Manager of Huawei's EBG China Government and Enterprise Finance Business Department. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Jason, and thank you all for being here, especially our partners and customers. And I am also happy to greet all our audiences online, both in China and abroad. I will spend the next dozen minutes to talk about the intelligence finance. My topic is on the intelligence finance growing with the cloud, mostly focusing on the fintech trends and applications. So what is fintech? There are many different definitions for fintech, but one of the commonly recognized definition of fintech is ABCD mix. A represents AI, B blockchain, C cloud, and the IoT. X represents other techs, including some emerging new techs, such as video-related tech, AR, VR tech, etc. We're now transforming from traditional financial services to a new mode of financial new services. And the major banks, including ICBC, CCB in China, they are considering the demands of different sectors in the market, such as the consumer sector, how they can deliver services in a better way to consumers. To do that, many of the financial services and banking services will be delivered in a new digital way. In the process of digitalization, banks are acting fast. They are already using many IT systems, while the other verticals are still sticking with the traditional modes. There are tax applications that banks are already very familiar with. Then how can they further improve the intelligence and the digital capabilities? That's what they're thinking. And banks are also thinking about how to serve the corporate customers better than in the consumer market. The profitability is not as high as the profitability in the corporate customer sector, but corporate customers also pose greater risk on banks than in consumer markets. In the retail market, banks would like to attract more individual customers to compensate or to say to hedge against the risk posed by the corporate customers. Consumers today have more disposable income, and that's why consumers are now more open to the idea of wealth management. Then how can our banks change the way they act? How can they make APIs available to governments, to SMEs, to improve the consumer customers' experience? These are the questions that banks today and financial service institutes are thinking about. Some of them are covering all three different sectors, while some focus only on the consumer sector. Some of the institutes are setting up subsidiaries for different segments, and some other FSIs are looking at the opportunities of new infrastructure. Blockchain, computer vision, machine vision, and cloud, these new techs are emerging. Well, supply chain finance is one of the domains Huawei has established our footprint, as we have a very long supply chain, including partners, suppliers on the upper stream, and our partners at the downstream. So when suppliers are trying to provide us with invoices, we need to think about how to make everything faster. That's why our solution development department and the finance department of Huawei have worked together to identify the demands of supply chain efficient management, so as to build our solution to address our frustration. And at the same time, such solution developed by Huawei is also available to our customers. Then when it comes to mobility or the mobile connectivity, we're now in the era of 5G. In the 4G era, mobile internet became the reality. 3 to 4 years ago, 4G connectivity was just coming to the market, and many companies developed apps encouraging their customers, their users, to download their app, and they use the app as a channel of user interaction. In the 4G era, it's fair to say that apps has taken the place of SMS, and we all send each other instant messages instead of SMS. But in the 5G era with eMBB, the bandwidth is higher. So probably 5G RCS will replace all the instant messages. So you don't need to download an app anymore in the 5G era. You can simply access the online services of different FSIs through 5G RCS. So users of 5G devices will be able to access all the services in an easier, faster way. Is it possible that 5G RCS will replace apps in the future? I think the likelihood is high. And data mining, reporting, statistics, and data are already being aggregated. In the past, we selected some key data in the data warehouse for business intelligence, risk control, and precision marketing. We have structured data and unstructured data. The unstructured data includes the videos being streamed from the cameras at branch offices, and it also includes recordings and screenshot images. Then how can we also gather the unstructured data in a converged data lake so as to identify a greater value from them? We need a more economical ways to develop a platform, being a big data platform or a data lake platform. Otherwise, the cost will be unacceptable. We have a data lake offering, helping our customers to aggregate all their internal, external structure and unstructured data together so that customers are able to extract more value by analyzing these data in a more effective way. Huawei's capabilities are mostly concentrating on the infrastructure layer, including our products, solutions, and offerings such as storage, connectivity products, etc. Data center is also a domain that we're very good at. In the future, I think our share will be increased from 40% now to even 60 to 70% in the future. Apart from the hardware in the data center, we are also offering AI capabilities, IoT, cloud capabilities, and platforms, etc. These tags and platforms are being put together by Huawei and our partners and ISPs so as to address the demands of different customers. We're in a position to build a full-stack data center. In Ulanqab, it's a place with extremely low temperature. When a customer purchases the land there, we are able to prefabricate the structure of the entire data center, and this data center can be quickly put up in another place. in the past, it probably took you 2 to 3 years to really set up a data center, as you needed to plan it properly and then purchase materials properly. But it only takes 9 months today for us to deploy the data center in a new place. So that is the capability we have to set up a full stack data center. So I have touched upon the trends and the tags today. Well, Huawei is in a position to provide the technologies needed for the financial service industry, and Huawei has been constantly talking with partners to implement different technologies and use cases. So in the future, we look forward to having a more broader scope partnership with all our partners. I hope that in the next 5 to 10 years, we can join hands with our partners in China to really maximize the value of the FSI, and maybe we can even introduce the successful experience to the global market. Thank you. Thank you, Raymond. Huawei will definitely continue our partnerships with all the partners in the world. And as you know, 2020 is an eventful year with challenges and opportunities. The outbreak has posed great influences on different verticals, industries around the world. Then now let's welcome Eric Gao-Fei, who is the Financial Insights Director with IDC China, to talk about the banking industry, how it will rise up to the new normal. Hello everyone, I am Eric Gao with IDC China. I'm working on the financial insights. I'm happy to be here to introduce the IDC white paper, which is composed by IDC and Huawei together. On June 9th, we were at another financial forum. Michael, one of my colleagues working in Asia Pacific, was attending that forum, and he has pre-released this IDC white paper.
Back then, the situation in China is recovering, but in overseas regions, the pandemic is still getting more severe. So back then, it was really full of uncertainty. But after 3 months now, I'm able to be standing here to talk to you face to face. That means a lot. In 2020, the word coronavirus has exerted profound impact on everyone's life, work, mindset, and the vision of the future. Looking at the banking industry, what are the technical factors guiding or leading the development and transformation in the industry and helping us work with new opportunities? Probably we can find some insights from this white paper. We are looking at statistics from the World Bank. It's a comparison of the systemic risk impact on GDP since the 70s. So we can see that comparing with the savings and loan crisis and the subprime mortgage financial crisis back in 2010, causing the subprime mortgage crisis causing global financial recess. So we see that the impact of COVID-19 is as severe as that. It is impacting banking and many other industries. So we see that in the white paper, we bring up these ideas. In the next few months, the banking industry will be facing liquidity and credit issues. But this time, banks have the time to plan ahead, to inject some liquidity. Also, with the financial support of the government, we will have adequate capital in the market to mitigate the risks. If we compare it to other industries, we see that because the digital and informatization maturity level of the banking industry is quite high comparing to some other industries. Then if we look at the banking industry itself, we see banks of different scale and size have different digital maturity levels. So different banks are experiencing different influence from the crisis. This is a framework about how businesses, including banks, can leverage technology and digital transformation to embrace the next new normal. Through this timeline, we see that from the outbreak of COVID-19 to entering the next normal, there are 5 phases. COVID-19, economic slowdown, recession, recovery to growth, and then the next normal. From a business perspective, at each stage, their focuses are different. When experiencing the outbreak, how to maintain business continuity. In economy slowdown, how to optimize the cost. In the recession phase, how to maintain business resilience. When the economic situation is recovery to growth, how business can make targeted investments to make sure that businesses can steadily and quickly move into the next normal. IDC performed a survey with over 600 businesses asking, where do you think your region lies in among these 5 situations? So we can have a look at the result here. Globally, we see that nearly 20% of the surveyed businesses think they are under the direct impact of COVID-19. 27.8% of the businesses thinks that they are experiencing economy slowdown. 12.2% believed they are already in recession. 19.6% believed they are recovering to growth, and 21% thought that they are already in the next normal. If we break it down to different regions, we will get a result like this: Europe, America, and China. Here we can see that because China effectively controlled the spread of the pandemic, 44% of the businesses believes that they have grown out of the recession and moving to the next normal. In comparison, the global level was 21%. In the white paper regarding the banking industry, we put forward 6 categories and 14 capabilities in our resiliency index for the banking industry. So we can see that we have infrastructure overhaul, communication reformation, channel upgrade, redefining of data and analytics, workflow reimagine, and innovation acceleration. We can also use blockchain and DLT to support 5G and IoT. If we break down the 6 categories and 14 capabilities, we have 20 items. Here, I just want to give you one example from the channel upgrade. There are 3 key capabilities: fully digital customer journeys, fully integrated digital payments, and digital customer acquisition. We have 20 items. Among the 20 items, there are 6 here. Here you can see the contactless banking, smart branch. A branch helps their business during the pandemic. Then in this case, we have 6 categories, 14 capabilities, and 20 items in our white paper, which enables banks to move towards the new norm. When working on this white paper, we have input from numerous banks in different places based on their own experience, as well as interviews with the local employees and people. So we have the interpretation of the resiliency index in different regions. In the white paper, the rating mechanism and weight of different items are explained, so I'm not going to repeat that here. China is covered in this research, getting 113 points. The full score is 150, and China has the highest score. North America and Europe are at the same level. Asia Pacific, excluding China, has a lower score. Breaking them down, we see that channel upgrade, and also what I've mentioned earlier, fully digital customer journeys, and then contactless banking and smart branch. And the innovation acceleration is, together with channel upgrade, are the most important reasons that China is taking the lead. We see that in terms of redefining data and analytics redefining, North America is doing quite well. They have the Silicon Valley and the data-driven business culture. In Europe, we see that the green part is taking a large proportion, infrastructure overhaul. So here, most important thing here is the native and cybersecurity. And open banking, especially open API, Europe excels in those, and that's why Europe is getting a higher score than others in terms of infrastructure overhaul. In this white paper, when we elaborate on these capabilities and items, we can make the comparison of different regions and countries. And then we put it back to our framework for the curve of recovery after the pandemic. We can see that the investment in digital technology can speed up their recovery. Here we also pointed out at specific stages where should the banks invest more. To guarantee business continuity, cybersecurity and internal controls are the key. For cost optimization, digital customer acquisition is important because customers cannot go to the branches in person. And also, fully integrated digital payment should also be improved for cost optimization. To further improve the business resiliency, to mine the data to create more value for the customers. And then moving on to the recovery to growth phase, how to invest limited data to building key capabilities like remote banking and infrastructure. In this way, the banks can smoothly move towards the next normal. We need to do the right thing at the right time. And I hope that the insights in our white paper could be of help to banks, to help them overcome systemic risks or financial crises and recessions. We want to flatten this recovery curve. For example, businesses, including banks, can quickly go through the recession and experience less pain and recover to growth. IDC Financial Insights hereby is incorporating the resiliency index into our future research. We will continue to collect voices and feedback from financial institutions, including banks. And we hope that this resiliency index can be a helpful tool for the banking industry, and it can also point out the trends, and it can be a benchmark for the financial service industry. So here's the logo for the index, 2020 Resiliency for Banks. And our slogan here is banking industry rises up to the new normal, which is my topic today. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Please stay on the stage. Next, we will have Jason Cao back on the stage. And everyone here will be witnessing the release of the white paper. I'd like to thank Eric for your excellent presentation. Please move behind the desk. You may have noticed that we've prepared an ebook version of the white paper. Please put your hands on top of the desk. Now let's count down with me. 3, 2, 1.
此刻，谢谢。
Please give them a round of applause.
IDC 白皮书新常态性。
The IDC white paper is now officially released. Thank you very much. Thank you for witnessing this release as well. Please go back to your seat. Next, please focus on the screen.
电子版本，各位。
We have also prepared a soft copy for you. Feel free to scan the QR code and you will be redirected to download the English version, and the Chinese version will be available in October, and you can find it on our Huawei's official website. If you're interested, feel free to scan the QR code and you will get a soft copy of the white paper. So thank you again, Eric, for your insightful introduction. We want the right architecture for our financial data center. Then what are the best practices or the takeaways of a commercial bank? Now let's welcome Mr. Chen Dawei, who is the head of the cloud computing platform of Huaxia Bank, to let us know about their practices of automated O&M on Huawei Cloud. Thank you, everyone. My name is Chen Dawei. I'm with the Huaxia Bank. Our audiences here and online, maybe you are interested in the financial service industry. Probably you don't know what I'm going to introduce. But first of all, please allow me to introduce my company. Huaxia Bank is a bank that has a footprint in China. Our asset scale, the number of the staff, and the revenues have been growing over these years. We have visions and goal task identified. We have identified 15 different projects, which we call them iceberg projects. On above the water, there are the key projects, and below these water, below the sea level, there are 108 basic projects, which are dedicated to the technologies that will provide support to the 22 fintech key projects above the water. Initially, I tried to talk about how we set up our cloud, such as the architecture, our data center, our roadmap, and the history of our Delphi. But none of this is what I'd like to talk about today, because these are the topics that I have presented at many occasions. And also, I guess different institutes have different features, so probably they need different plans, different paths for the future digitalization. And I don't believe that our experience of the digitalization might be helpful to you. So that's why today I'm gonna talk about a new topic, Huaxia Bank's automated O&M. Shenzhen is hosting another O&M summit now. It was my plan to go there. I started out as an O&M staff, so I believe that O&M staff and O&M team are key to the efficient operation of the upper level applications. That's why I'd like to talk about how we should build the right O&M model. Usually we will talk about the scale, the capability of the cloud platform, how open it is, how many apps it can support. However, we don't really pay attention to whatever that is happening inside the cloud platform, especially the O&M platform. When we are sourcing vendors in the industry, they tend to focus on if the products or the offering are able to satisfy their demands, and they don't really talk about what architecture, what platform the solution is using for O&M. When we talk about the cloud solution, we know that Huawei has the capability to provide the full-stack cloud solution, and end-to-end, from the left to the right, and it opts for a DevOps model. The reason that we decided to work with Huawei is because Huawei solution makes it easier for us. We don't need to worry about the API compatibility, and we don't need to assign a cloud O&M team. Huawei basically handles everything for us. But still, when Huawei tries to help us handle everything, it sometimes puts us on our disadvantaged position because we don't know anything about the platform. So when there is an issue, we don't know how to deal with it. If you understand how difficult it is to work on the O&M, you can relate to this picture. This picture shows that when there is an issue occurs on the certain system, and everybody is pointing fingers at the O&M staff, and everybody tries to understand when can the system be back on and what exactly caused the problem. If a O&M engineer doesn't know about the platform, you can only call Huawei's engineer and repeat your manager's question to Huawei's engineer. Then probably your career in that company ends at that very moment. If you want to make a platform really welcome, by your customer, then probably you need to appeal to the O&M team. Actually, Huawei Bank, Huaxia Bank didn't like about the Huawei's cloud platform in the first place. The O&M team wanted to be in the same team with our executives. However, we had our doubts on the Huawei's cloud. And when there were new systems being deployed, we still deployed the systems on our old platform, as we believe that we were playing safe by doing that. Then we had the idea to build a cloud platform for O&M specifically, and we developed an app to make O&M easier for O&M staff, and even we can free them from the hassle of O&M. So on our monitoring platform, we added an API for the OC monitoring of Huawei, OM, OFOFs. All these components were added to our monitoring platform architecture. So again, I'd like to pay my tribute to the O&M staff. And here are some of the scenarios of how our platform is collaborating with Huawei's platform. So first scenario will be a host breakdown. It happens basically every day. But if you are in the financial sector, you will have to find out the scope of the influences when there is a host down. Hardware, system monitoring, transaction monitoring, they can be analyzed together, and a report, a very detailed report, will be generated in just 3 minutes. The difficult thing here is whenever you deploy the new system, you need to identify how the new system will be it will interconnect with other systems. And the second scenario is maintenance, the microcode upgrade. O&M staff know how difficult this is. We are a bank, so we have to answer the questions of a regulator. Every month, the regulator is releasing the release of the microcode that are posing potential risks. We are a bank, so we have to respond to that. When there is an outbreak of the COVID-19, we had to identify the potential blow to us. But because you have A/B testing, probably it's not a difficult task for you, but that is not the case, because you are influencing the experience of users, so everything can only be done in early morning before everybody gets up. And we also need to identify the specific tasks and releases to be addressed, and we don't have the tool to do that. O&M have to cover hundreds of nodes in a limited period of time. So we have to stay up late and lose a lot of sleep. Then we decided that we should assign a task force to work together with Huawei team, and then we developed a automatic upgrade platform to address that, and that helped us to address the headache a lot. Then the third scenario is resource management. We know that cloud resources are elastic, but sometimes when the resource is already assigned to certain apps, you can not get them back. And sometimes it's also difficult to achieve the elasticity of the containers. That's why we need to make sure that when we are releasing a new host, we have a system to manage the resource, and this system is interconnected with the cloud platform. And at the same time, it should have the capability to visualize the resources assigned. What's more, we developed an app called Cloud Magic Cube, so our O&M engineers can access all the functions of O&M platforms with their mobile phones. And they can perform all the O&M tasks with this Magic Cube app. So in the interest of time, that's all of my introduction. If you would like to learn more, feel free to approach me after the presentation. But I believe that the Huawei Cloud can indeed help us to alleviate the pressure of O&M. Thank you. Now, next, we will have Su-Chun Shou, who is the Managing Director and Group Head of Consumer Banking and Big Data AI Technology of DBS. Well, as because of the outbreak, sadly, Ms. Su-Chun Shou cannot join us on site today, but she has already sent us the presentation and video. And if you need the interpreting device, feel free to reach out to our staff. And now let's listen to the insight from DBS.
Hello, I'm Su-Chun Shou from DBS Bank. Very pleased to share with you our digital and cloud transformation journey today. For those of you who are not familiar, DBS is one of the leading financial services groups in Asia. We are the biggest bank in Southeast Asia, headquartered in Singapore with presence in 18 markets globally, as well as 28,000 people. We believe that our biggest competitors are not the other bank or but the big tech who are coming into the financial services space. Hence, to remain relevant, we believe we need to reimagine banking, to make banking simple, seamless, and invisible, so that our customers can spend more of their time living rather than banking. We are the bank that wants you to live more, bank less. To get there, we think you have to be willing to re-architect your fundamental technology to be like a tech firm. In our transformation, we focus on three things: technology, process, and people. By becoming digital to the core, embedding ourselves in the customer journey to make DBS invisible, as well as creating a startup culture. On becoming digital to the core, we invest to ensure that we are not applying digital lipstick. We go beyond customer interfaces such as digital app or internet banking platforms. We believe that it is the back end of the bank that enable full digitalization. For technology transformation, we created a framework we call Gandalf, after the wise man in the movie Lord of the Rings. This framework comprises of 5 major areas, starting from shifting from project to platform. And by this, we mean long-term infinite thinking and prioritization of our product build based on value. Next one is the creation of high-performing agile teams. And these teams refer to persistent cross-functional teams who are cross-skilled as well as autonomous and self-organizing in how they work. The next piece of this puzzle is automation of everything. In the tech development cycle, we believe in everything as a code, the leverage of CI/CD as well as release automation. A very big piece of this framework is design for modern system, where API everything is part of the imperative culture. Cloud native, blue-green deploy, auto-scaling, and self-healing in everything that we build from scratch. Last but not least, the most important of all is the organization. How do we organize for success? And for this, we believe that business needs to be tech and tech needs to be business, and there is no silo between the two. Our digital transformation journey started about 6 to 7 years ago, when we realized that the behavior and habits of our client are shifting to the digital channels. We began our journey by insourcing our technology support and development. To do this, we went about acquiring a lot of deep tech talents to fill up the roles of engineering and architecture within the bank, as well as starting an aggressive agenda to reskill all our people. In 2016, we started to virtualize all our infrastructure. And then we started to leverage the platform as a service to enable our developers to focus on building business logic rather than managing infrastructure. We also re-architected our apps to microservices. We transformed the way we build software. We embedded test-driven development and pair programming culture into our practice. Beginning 2018, we took a step further to bring the business and technology together, to remove all silos, to form what we call platform organization. There are more than 30 platform organizations within the bank today. And these are autonomous groups that can move fast according to the objective of their platform. In 2020, we are truly focused on becoming truly cloud native, as well as enabling the leverage of AI at scale to accelerate our exponential as well as intelligent banking agenda. In our cloud transformation, we aim to achieve the highest level of agility in both architecture as well as culture and organization. Through the leverage of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and microservice architecture pattern, coupled with the agile practice, we are able to move at startup speeds, but with the right quality, controls, and security embedded in every single thing that we do and build. In culture, we focus not just in enabling CI/CD for everything that we build, but continuous deployment and DevOps in our tech organization. Clearly, different architecture patterns will provide different degree of agility. At DBS, we group our architecture patterns into 5 different categories, starting with the traditional stack comprising of customized software and hardware that is expensive commercial software and hardware. Cloud ready refers to commodity hardware and huge level of virtualization of the hardware. Cloud optimized refers to the use of open source software and ability to do this across the stack so that we are able to scale in a cheap and cost-effective manner. And finally, cloud native. Cloud native is divided into 2 components. The most basic one, we are referring to the ability to containerize our applications using Docker and Kubernetes. And this helps us to ensure that we have continuous deployment as well as ability to deploy at scale with the right cadence. But what we really hope to achieve is to enable all our applications to be architected in the truly cloud native pattern with the leverage of the microservice architecture pattern as well as serverless, because we believe that this is what gives us the highest level of agility. In our journey, we want to create the exponential bank. And to be exponential, we aim to be cloud native for all our new build and to containerize existing frequently changing monolith. By exponential, we mean technology architecture pattern that can allow us to achieve the 5 S: speed, stability, scalability, savings, and security. By speed, we mean fully automated deployment process that will reduce the effort and lead time, as well as high leverage of experimentation with A/B testing. Stability is a very important part of what we emphasize. And for this, we expect self-healing, zero downtime deploy, auto-scaling, and pervasive practice of chaos engineering to ensure that we are prepared for anything that may fail. Removal of toil as part of our SRE is also a very key agenda that we have been pursuing for quite a number of years. Scalability, we expect truly elastic capacity, as well as pay-per-use, in that the auto application scaling that results in zero lead time and manual effort to scale up or down in the event of a marketing campaign or a spike in volume of our trade and so on is possible. And this ability to pay per use, we believe, will result in savings, apart from the ability to scale up and down. Not only that, the code assembly that is enabled through the leverage of microservice architecture pattern enable us to derive the same code and more reusable asset in everything that we build. And finally, from a security, we want to design the application to be secure by design and to enable our platform to have the security patching quickly and for any time any vulnerability is found. So what have we achieved so far in our cloud transformation journey? Today, we have achieved 75% reduction in the data center space and shifted the system admin to OS ratio to 1 is to more than 600 through our aggressive leverage of virtualization of hardware. We have achieved more than 91% of our infrastructure to be virtualized as of last year. A cloud-native software application architecture pattern, we have dramatically improved our time to market from more than 6 months to less than 3 weeks for major releases, increased our release cadence by more than 10 times in terms of lead time to market as well as the effort for release. We have enabled ability to scale by self-provisioning of infrastructure from 1 week to instant provisioning. And from a stability and maintainability perspective, we have enabled zero downtime deployment for all our cloud-native applications. So how does the cloud transformation enable us to embed ourselves in the customer journey? In Hong Kong, we have launched the first fully virtual wealth management account opening for our clients last year. This enables our clients to open a multi-currency and wealth management account anytime, anywhere, and completely on the DBS iWealth app. This provides the ability for our clients to invest in 7 equities markets, trade 14 currency pairs, and transfer funds on the same day to 43 destinations without any charge. Another areas of focus for helping our customer live more bank less is what we do on the Singapore DBS marketplace. By embedding ourselves in the journey of property, car, travel, and electricity purchase experience, we aim to reduce the friction experienced by our customer in the process of this journey of theirs. Back in 2017, we launched the world's largest banking API platform. Today, we have more than 600 plus live API. This is part of our objective to invite all developers out there to leverage the API of the banks to reimagine the experiences we can create for our customers. We have integrated with many partners via the API to provide seamless experience for our clients. The most important part or challenging part of any digital or cloud transformation is actually not the technology, but the people and cultural transformation. At DBS, we want to be an enterprise that can move at startup speed and have individuals who can think like an entrepreneur. One of the ways we have used to attract the talents is via a hackathon. We launched Hack to Hire in 2017 to disrupt the way we hire. This global hackathon enabled us to hire diverse technologies from all industries, starting with startups, academia, technology companies, and gaming companies, to name a few. Hack to Hire has enabled us to attract over 6,000 registration. In this process, we invited more than 3,000 hackers to our hackathons over the last 3 years and welcomed more than 700 over of them as new members of the DBS over the last 3 years. It is a 4-step process, starting with the applicants taking the online coding challenge on HackerRank, followed by a behavioral assessment using predictive index. After this process, two exercises, the successful candidate will be invited to a 48-hour hackathon where they will be mentored by DBS staff over a 48-hour period. Within these 48 hours, we will select the individual who will qualify for an interview. And at the end of the day, the successful candidate will be given a job offer on the same day. 3 years into this program, we have had great success. The Hack to Hire cohort has excelled in everything that they do at the bank, and we continue to be amazed with the level of change that they have been able to make in what they do at the bank. The next piece of the startup puzzle is the culture, and this is one of the most challenging piece. For us, Agile is the essence of the culture that we are advocating. We want to change the culture and the mindset of the people by doing instead of teaching. And we believe that the ritual and the visual will help us to promote the culture and mindset of transparency and ownership amongst our people. Lastly, digital and cloud transformation is an infinite journey. So a continuous learning organization is essential. I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Alvin Toffler, who said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. With that, thank you very much, and I wish you all the success in your digital journey.
好的，谢谢，非常感谢苏春女士在视频当中给我们带来的精彩分享。那么同时呢，
That was an excellent sharing.
这个翻译器的朋友们，可以将您的翻译器关闭之后放在座位上。
Now you can switch off the translation receiver and leave it on your chair. We will collect them back. The function and value of network is not just about connectivity and communication, but it also determines the efficiency of this financial system. So next we have Wang Yifan, a senior network architect from CITIC Bank, to talk about building secure intelligent cloud DCN.
大家下午好啊！现在应该。
Hello everyone. I'd like to first express my appreciation to Huawei for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to share what we've been through at the CT Bank, China City Bank. The China CITIC Bank, also known as the CITIC Bank, ranks number 11 in China. In the past, we mostly were serving corporate customers. And starting in recent years, we began to pivot into the consumer market as well as some SME market. So those transformations gave us challenges. That's why we have proposed the new strategy of technology, which is agile plus self-driven plus convergence plus enablement, promoting digital transformation. When we are setting up data centers today, we have to transform the entire architecture of the network and to reconstruct our IT architecture and network architectures. Then later we began to build our CT cloud, because at that time we made an analysis on the trend of the fintech, and we've discovered that the industry trends, there were 5 different industry trends. First, technology-based. Technologies are always the foundation for our service and business innovation and iteration. And the second feature will be everything will be data-based. If we would like to have more innovations and have greater developments of our business without data, none of this will be possible. Then the third trend being identified was platform-based. Service platform, the O&M, middle-end platforms. There are many different types of platforms. And they are all the must if we would like to achieve the economies of scale. Precision marketing also requires the support of platforms. That's why we believe that setting up our own cloud will be the right thing to do. The City Cloud proposed 4 different objectives. First will be the cloud architecture transformation, such as self-servicing, agility, elasticity, on-demand, and the feasibility to implementation. These are the key to the transformation to the cloud architecture. And then another objective we have is the Cloud Center Cloud Core, Card Center Cloud Core. We used to use the IVS platform, but in last year, we began the migration to a distributed x86-based platform. In May and June this year, more services have been migrated. Now our cloud is based on x86 architecture. That's why we are making sure that we can achieve the requirements. Starting in 2018, all our Tier 1 branch offices and our subsidiaries were using IT systems, and all these IT systems were migrated and converged to the headquarters cloud platform that helped us to reduce the workload and the cost. That's the third objective we had. And the fourth one will be the hybrid cloud profit model, because some of our customers would like to deploy their infrastructure on our cloud as well. That's why we want to deploy a hybrid cloud so that platforms of our customers can be deployed on our cloud as well. But of course, we will prioritize the compliance. So these were the 4 objectives we identified, and here is the roadmap. Starting in 2018, we have set up a resource pool of heterogeneous architecture, and we have one unified cloud management platform for resources management and scheduling. Later in 2019 and 2020, our cloud saw new services deployed on it. And starting from next year, we will find more possibilities of AI and blockchain, so as to find a better way to serve our customers. The City Cloud is growing fast, so it's posing greater demands on the networks. Our bank has rolled out an AI platform for individual customers. Huawei once said that if you can reduce the network packet loss rate, to 1 out of 1,000 or 100 to 1%, then you are actually posing greater demands on the network. To build a cloud, we need to make sure that the network can satisfy the customize the demands of different customers. So that's why we need to make sure that our network is reliable. We want our network to be free from packet loss, and we've heard about the concept of a lossless Ethernet. When there is much data, how can you make sure that the there is no packet will be lost? And when there is huge traffic, how can you make sure that your requirement can still be satisfied? So that's why we value reliability. And the second requirement on the network will be availability. The controller should have various types of APIs so that applications can be deployed. Some worried about if SDN can be implemented, and I explained to them SDN has a router at the lower layer together with a tunnel. It's not that complex. We use SDN. Basically, we want a O&M platform to monitor the network and perform O&M on the network. And the last requirement on the network will be trustworthy. Basically, we would like to gradually switch to proprietary chips. This is the evolution of our data center network architecture. In the past, the traditional network architecture had the physical partitioning together with all the system silos. The computing network resources could not be effectively planned. Then if we are about to migrate to the cloud network architecture, we pool the resources of a network. Then the resource usage will be more effective, more efficient. This is our latest intelligent network solution. We have the heterogeneous resource pool, and at the core is in the middle. The SDN Agile controller of Huawei and the fabric inside of Huawei, which is a big data O&M platform powered by AI. They are helping us to improve the efficiency. These platforms can ensure network resources is being pooled, and the controllability and manageability of the network are significantly better. Back in the time, we were using OpenView of Hewlett-Packard. That was in 2005. And I was new to the industry. I didn't know much about it. Then my manager wanted us to deploy a network management system. If we didn't use F5 at that time, it felt that our SDN network didn't have any protection. The Type A and Type A Plus system were migrated to that platform. And every day I had to get up early and find out if there were alarms being triggered. Then after we deployed the FI, we could be more at ease on the network management. and we had greater confidence for the upgrade and migration of the data center network. Citibank was one of the first in the industry to use a new tech. Back in last year, we started the journey. And we deployed the iMaster NCE to build an intelligent SDN network. So the new solution supports simplified deployment of underlay networks without manual intervention. And the overlay network is automatically configured and maintained by the controller. Hundreds of switches are successfully deployed to carry a large number of service applications. I was also here at the Huawei Connect, and since then I've already seen many more new solutions and offerings coming from Huawei, and I hope that we can see more of the innovations from you guys in the future. Then the 135 intelligent O&M means the fault detection can be done in 1 second, fault locating can be done in 3 minutes, and it takes only 5 minutes for the fault rectification. Basically, we need to make sure all the fault can be resolved fast. We work with Huawei to look at the typical 90 faults in the industry, and then we had the drill and simulation. The result shows that we can meet the criteria of the 135 intelligent O&M. On top of the Huawei platform, Citibank has done some other explorations, including 2 services.
One is that we use Fabric Insight to collect information from all the servers. We can identify latency and other anomalies, such as DCP reset and other abnormal packets. Then in this case, we can generate a baseline. The security baseline is put into our SOC platform. Now the security baseline is a baseline for service guarantee. This is also the baseline used for the control of access between applications. If an application system is having abnormal behavior, for example, an intranet server is scanning the port in a segment, an alarm will be triggered. And so the SOC platform will be able to, for example, block the access, etc. And also, application abnormal packets can also be monitored. The admin will have the privilege to see a tree graph of the communications between applications. When a problem occurs, the O&M personnel may receive an alarm, but then they don't need to ask for further information. They can just log on to our operating system, where they will be able to see the data and status of the applications so that they can make decision in a simpler way and to better maintain the network. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
医生给我们带来的精彩分享。
Thank you very much, Wang Yifan, for your sharing. After listening to these presentations, we see how the banks have put the technology into practice. But in the next phase, open banks has also become an essential part in the industry. So next, we'd like to see how one of Huawei's partners worked on it. Next, we have the Financial SBU Open Banking Solution expert from DCITS to talk about open banking in a new infrastructure era. Hello everyone, I am honored to be here at Huawei Connect 2020 because I see the theme New Value Together. DCITS is a strategic partner with Huawei in the financial service industry, and I've been working on the project delivery. At DCITS, I worked on project development, so we and Huawei are jointly developing solutions. So this comes to my topic today, open banking in new infrastructure era. First, let's have a look at the trends for open banking. Now it's a common sense, and some banks are proposing to transform towards internet bank. Open bank is a new business model. If we apply the concept of connectivity to traditional banks, we will get open banks. And open banks is also an opportunity window for banks' digital transformation. With open banking services, we can clearly see the achievements that a bank can get out of digital transformation. What are the changes in the process? First, we can look at the customer groups. So traditional banks focus on the higher level, middle class, or financial independent customers. But it can be expanded. One is to reach to the financial inclusion class and also the people with lower income which were not reachable by traditional bank branches. Why didn't the banks change in the past but are changing now? We think there are two factors, internal and external. In the past, banks didn't have the ability to do so. If they want to expand the customer base, the cost would be very high, and the risk was hard to measure. Now, with the development of fintech, we now have smart risk mitigation, cloud platform, big data, etc., which support the banks to transform to a new business model. Externally, we are seeing an fierce competition in the market, so banks have to open up to encounter the challenges. So here we see the ways that banks can choose from. One is to go out, opening up API, providing SDK, so that they can provide their services to the customers. So it was the simple mode. But later, banks get more involved in the scenario building. So we have a scenario plus finance model. The other is bringing in. They just provide simple products. Later on, the banks provide more applications and build their own platforms and ecosystem, and then appeal to the ecosystem partners to get involved. Although there are different stakeholders here, but essentially is the integration of digital technology with the business scenarios in banks, providing seamless experience to the customers. Then how can we build such capabilities? DCITs has worked on capability building projects of dozens of organizations. It is twofold. For the traditional capabilities, we use middle platforms and microservices to build internet-based product and basic capabilities. So we have the marketing center, payment center, user center, etc. On top of that, we build the open layer, which is secure and open, to support what I just mentioned, the going out and bringing in model of open banks. Next, open banking trends. 3 directions. One is the standard one, API plus SDK. Initially, for example, SHRB, they're also one of the first to provide financial SDK. The other is to have the banks build their own banking as a service platform. They also provide value-added services. For example, security certification, membership system, marketing capability, etc., provided to their partners for innovation. The third one is that the banks are directly participating in their partners' scenario construction and develop customized solutions and services. So we can see that apart from financial services, banks are getting more and more involved in scenario design. This trend brings opportunities as well as problems. So banks are facing challenges. The first one is business complexity. Banking business is already complicated, and with more customized scenarios, it is even more complex. The second challenge is high concurrency. In the past, banks have their own mobile banking app or branches, but then one partner may bring a sudden surge in the transactions numbers, so the concurrency is really high. The third challenge is data consistency. Now with the microservice architecture, internal transactions and processes of banks are getting longer, so consistency is getting more important. When providing services, the requirements of high data consistency also add to the business complexity. And lastly, large data volume. We see that there are a lot of marketing campaigns, so there will be some sudden increase of customer access. Banks may have new partners, which will also bring large amount of new customers. Then in this case, banks need to handle massive financial and scenario-based data. And now the requirements for low latency is getting more stringent, and banks will need to have real-time or quasi-real-time big data computing. For example, I am purchasing a product. In the past, batch processing would be sufficient, but now my requirement is that I want to have the transaction completed real-timely. With these challenges set, we need to think about how new infrastructure technologies can help and how to provide these basic capabilities to banks. And how should we provide such infrastructure to banks? This is where DCITS and Huawei developed joint solutions. We leverage the full stack capability from Huawei combined with our experience in the financial application systems, we are able to have an integrated solution to smoothly migrate financial services to the cloud. In this solution, we have a cloud platform, microservice architecture, and DevOps mode, which help banks develop agile services in an iterative manner. Next, I'd like to show you how we use the new technology platform to promote new customer services. This process is the same. It's mapped against the process. So we have the on-demand resource allocation, resource pool virtualization, and high performance, high reliability hardware from Huawei. So we see that in terms of application, it fits. We also build upon the microservice architecture. We have the business competence center, and then we get on-demand resource allocation. Depending on the amount of transaction, development trends in the future, and also we use platform and cloud container so that we can have customized and on-demand resource allocation. We use Huawei's PaaS and big data platform so that we provide resources as a service, enabling agile development, intelligent operations, and automated O&M. I mentioned earlier that in the open banking stage, we have challenges like high concurrency. So we can leverage Huawei PaaS platform's Gauss database and distributed cache and buffer to improve the performance. On top of the PaaS platform, we have middle operation platform. On one hand, we build basic capabilities for financial services and we provide value-added services. And we have scenario-based capabilities for differentiation. In this integrated system, we can quickly deploy new services, link services to scenarios, and provide seamless customer journey for all our customers. Next, I'd like to talk to you about the progress we're having for the joint solution. We've started the verification last year. In July 2019, in Huawei's labs in Suzhou, we completed the adaptation verification and performance tests for the solution. We made a comparison to see the functions deployed on the x86-based cloud platform and the Kunpeng-based cloud platform. And for x86, it used third-party database. For Kunpeng cloud platform, it used Huawei's Gauss database, Gauss DB. So we can compare their performance. We see that in terms of overall performance, Kunpeng plus Gauss DB is improved by 30%. For batch processing, Kunpeng plus Gauss DB has greatly shortened the batch processing time by 20%.
On July 25 last year, we worked with Huawei to release two solutions. One is the cloud-based banking solution. And also last year, the cloud banking system was deployed to some bank. We used Huawei server for the infrastructure support, and later we will try to set up a private cloud environment. DCITS has assigned a team of 120 implementation staff and 80 R&D staff to follow up on the project. Then this joint solution has several perks. First is the superior performance, including the performance on the IaaS and other layers. Then the second perks of it is the full stack capabilities, from the infrastructure to cloud platform, all the way to the service layer. The joint solution is able to provide capabilities across any stack. So banks using the solution will be able to enhance their performance in every layer. Then the third strength will be agile, will be agility, because all those models we used are based on microservices and components. Banks using the solution can select anything they need. And the next strength is a flexible cost. You only need to select the modules you need to minimize the cost needed. So that's all from my introduction. I hope that our company can work more closely with Huawei to optimize the joint solution, hoping to serve more customers and serve our customers' customers in a better way. Thank you. Thank you. Please kindly take a seat. And Huawei does hope to work with you to create greater value for our customers. And now we're about to release the solution together. Let's welcome Mr. Zhou Shen, the CEO of Arch Force, Zhao Nan, the CTO of Arch Force, and Mr. Li Jing, who is the Deputy General Manager of our Finance BU of Huawei, and also let's welcome Raymond Law back to the stage. And please put your right hand on the tape desk, and let's have a countdown. 3, 2, 1. And now the solution is officially launched. Let's give them a round of applause.
好的，再次感谢，谢谢。好，有请我们各位嘉宾朋友入席落座，非常感谢，请入席落座。那么也感谢我们现场所有来宾的共同见证我们今天的解决方案震撼发布。接下来的话，我们就继续有请到华瑞金融技术董事长 CEO 邹胜先生给我们带来精彩分享。有请
Arch Force, Mr. Zhou Shen. Hi everyone. We are happy to release the AMI 3.0 together with Huawei. So what are the new features available on the AMI 3.0? That will be introduced in my presentation. Well, today we are all embracing digital transformation, and we are in the securities industry, and every day there are 20,000 financial products. Then we have 160 million investors. So every hour, every day, we are handling over 1 billion messages and over 1 billion calculations. So I think in the future, financial service institutes will be an organization dealing with the messages all the time, and all CEOs need to think about if your system is able to deal with such large number of messages. AMI actually stands for Arch Force Message Interconnection. It's a architecture born for low latency, ultra reliable message handling. And the AMI is able to reach 10 million messages per second throughput. The latency is as short as 350 nanoseconds. Well, in the finance sector, we always prioritize high availability and high reliability. The ANI applications based on the AMI are able to reach 5.9 high reliability. So AMI can help you to address the large number of messages you're dealing every day. So when there are 300,000 messages coming in at one node, the end-to-end latency, 50% of them the latency is significantly lower, and 50% nodes end-to-end latency is as short as 2.3 microsecond. We know that the 5G latency is 1 to 10 milliseconds, and now we are already calculating latency in nanometer, as you can see how short the latency is. Then high availability sometimes is against the demands for low latency. How can we strike a balance? We look at the benchmark of AMI performance, and we can see that the latency of one trip and the previous generation was 31 microsecond, and the 3.0 can reduce it to 13 microsecond. That's down by almost 60%. We have a feature called faulty copy reloading. When we have one active node and two standby nodes, when the active node is down, we can switch the services to standby node, and the RPO is 0. Then the RTO is within 1 second. That's how powerful it is. Then the faulty copy reloading means that when the faulty system is back on, it will be added to the cluster again to improve the capabilities, to improve the resilience of the entire system. AMI 3.0 has done a lot to improve integration. We have the native app, which are based on the AMI. But in the finance sector, sometimes you have institutes that have deployed apps based on Kafka or based on a database. On AMI, we are providing connectors, so developers don't have to write too much code or even don't have to write any code to connect the native app with the low latency apps. The next step for us is to increase the number of the connectors or plugins so as to further address the demands of a heterogeneous system. We always value user experience. From system configuration to components, we are enhancing user experiences in all aspects. In a distributed environment, we are able to monitor all the hosts, all the clusters, and all the instances. And we are also able to check the data traffic, latency of messages, and the resources used. The system can help us to see the latency consumed by a specific component of an app. That's how much we value user experience. The core of the AMI is a high availability, low latency message bus. When we are trying to assess a message system, we need to look at 7 different aspects. They are latency, throughput, availability, reliability, ease of use, integration capability, and monitoring management. Well, let's take Kafka as an example. It's an open-sourced message bus. But Kafka is not doing well on the latency and availability. ANI is 800 times faster than Kafka. And we can also look at Typical. It's one of the leading vendors and solutions in the industry. The green line indicates the performance of Typical. Then Solace is another leading offering in Canada. The purple line shows its performance. Then the red line shows the performance of AMI 3.0. In terms of low latency, throughput, availability, reliability, and monitoring management, we are already in the leading position in the market. Then in integration capability and ease of use, we're catching up with Kafka. AMI is used to be based on x86 architecture only, and over the last year we've made great efforts together with Huawei's team, and now we are able to support Huawei's Kunpeng processor. We are at an era full of different choices. We want AMI to be able to support Kunpeng and x86 nodes, so everyone can find what they need. AMI is not just a middleware, a message bus middleware that provides high availability and low latency. What's more, we have an extra layer to decouple the apps from the lower layer, and we support multiple different languages, including Java, Go, etc. What's more, we are providing developers with a framework, so developers are able to set up their apps for different services really quickly. And looking into the future, what we can do together with Kunpeng, we're working with developers to study core transaction, real-time risk control, ultra-fast market data, algorithm trading, strategy trading, real-time clearing, foreign exchange trading, and asset management. These are the applications that are commonly used in the industry. We're working with partners and customers to develop these systems. And later this year, in December, we will also host our own forum. At that time, there will be more updates on these applications development. So I hope that AMI together with Kunpeng can help you construct the next generation distributed low latency financial core. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your excellent sharing. In this post-pandemic era, we have both challenges and opportunities. So next, I'd like to invite Ms. Zhu Jun, Greater China President of Temenos, to talk about how to use technology to cope with the epidemic situation and future challenges from the perspective of banking. Thank you very much for staying behind for this last presentation today. I've been thinking how to make it more pleasant. But looking at the title of my presentation, it could be difficult because it's a very severe topic. So we provide software and services to banks. We have over 3,000 customers around the globe, and looking at their performance, I'd like to share our insights with you. Before the pandemic outbreak, if you had paid attention, you will see the banking industry already under huge pressure. These four are dark clouds, not computing clouds. They represent four types of challenges. Because the user stickiness or user loyalty is already very low, so the profitability of the banks are decreasing. The second challenge is the rise of new competitors, startups, neobanks, technology giants, and even retailers and telcos. Because these companies will not reluctant to adopt new technologies, so they can actually provide better services, which further crippled banks' capabilities. And then thirdly, regulation and market practice. 60% of IT systems of some banks are used for regulation purpose. In China and India, the economy is slowing down. So with these four dark clouds, how were the banks doing? You can see the ROE is going quite flat with very low profit growth. And you can see the profit before tax is halved comparing to that before 2015. So eventually you can see that in the stock market, in the pandemic, if you look at the one at the bottom, Dow Jones Banks Titans 30 index, banks are actually doing the worst during the pandemic. In the recovery, you can see that some other technology-intensive industries are recovering much faster, but banks, they are not making substantial improvement yet. Next, looking at some events, you see that for some banks, 70% of their branches had to shut down, and systems or services suspended, overloaded system, and they need to decontaminate cash. So we see that banks all around the globe are facing this crisis, which is unseen before. I'd like to tell you a funny story, but the situation is not looking well. In McKinsey's expectation, there are two scenarios. One is 3 to 6 months, the other is 12 to 18 months. Now we think 12 to 18 months impact is too optimistic. So we are now on the edge of destructive impact. Here I quoted two famous authors. One is from the author of the Black Swan hypothesis. Humans tend to create environments where extreme events are more likely and then underestimate their probability. And the author of the butterfly effect, a professor from the University of Oxford, actually anticipated such a situation back in 2014. He said with hyperconnectivity, such pandemics are becoming more frequent and are even more likely in the future. It could be biochemical, it could be a problem in the financial system. So we see the picture getting even dimmer. There will be more extreme events and changes happening. We are seeing a saying that 2019 is the best year by far. Could that be true? Looking at customer requirements, in this paradigm, we see a lot of requests sent online. Then after the pandemic, we compare the situation in China, Singapore, and the US. We see that more customers want to have online banking services, so their habit is formed. For example, if I'm working from home now, then it's very comfortable. I'm getting my work-life balance back. Even after the pandemic, I don't want to go on business trips as frequently as an air hostess. So the requirement of the customer is to have more convenient online and mobile banking. Then what should banks do? They need to have three key areas of response. Let me go through them one by one. First, business continuity. Not just supporting working from home, all the key systems for the banking business must be ensured with seamless continuity. Downtime would be having severe and destructive impact on the banking business. And you need to be able to remotely upgrade and update the system. Then in this case, banks will have to use cloud technologies. And if employees fall sick or they need to have different shifts, then you need to quickly educate and train new or employee substitutions so that we open up our training engine to our customers for free to help them. This kind of online training may be a new normal in the future. Due to the time constraint, I may not go line by line here, and also we see the fluctuation in the economy, which is also having some impact on the banking business. Second, customer engagement. It's not as simple as mobile banking, but they need to expand this to all products and all steps throughout the customer journey. And it needs to be consistent. We have this omni-channel concept. I will give you an example later. It should be based on actual client data and behavior data to recommend products and services precisely. And contactless payment, it's something we're doing quite well now, but we're facing challenges from many other banks in other regions. We need to launch new features or change product features in a very short time. For example, the time for loan payment. And we need to allow clients to use self-service to apply for some other benefits. And we need to have very good simulation and analysis because it's not just about developing products, we have a corporate social responsibility as well. So in terms of how to collect the cash back, and when facing social and economic pressure, the system need to be more resilient. So this challenge is like a test. Some best performing banks would stand out. For example, Atlantic Union Bank in the US on the 28th of March, they have this bill to give out over 300 billion US dollar. So on Monday, the leader of this bank decided to engage in the delivery of the government's Paycheck Protection Program, PPP. So they launched this new service within 4 days. The test for the coronavirus would have taken longer. So they need to cover different channels. The application channel could be email, online banking, and mobile banking. The information will be aggregated to their data platform for verification. They also need to connect to the SME management system of the US government. So they got applications from 6,500 SMEs and give out 1.4 billion US dollar to the SMEs. Another example is the British Business Bank. The banks are also in a dilemma whether to lend the money or not. They are facing large amount of application and the risk is high. So BBB implemented the explainable AI platform which can assist them in analyzing the application. The accuracy rate is actually much better than the crediting agency's results. The risk scoring is done faster and 31% more accurate than leading credit bureaus. There was cases for different banks, but we can look at the difference within one same bank. So we have the parent bank and its digital subsidiary. It's a UK Tier 1 bank. Within one day, the digital subsidiary can communicate to all customers, but for the parent bank, 6 weeks is not enough because the process is very complex, there are too many channels, and the approval takes time. And for the digital subsidiary, they need to handle a 40 times surge of incoming queries. So they also need to manage their own processes. So the digital subsidiary can seamlessly turn to work remotely from home. So here you see that this new digital subsidiary of a traditional bank can handle the crisis while the traditional parent bank is struggling. So we looked at the challenges and the cases. So I have shown you some practices and challenges that banks are facing. So in summary, we did a survey before. So for open banking and digital transformation, banks need to have a digital framework. Due to the limited time here, I can't explain the detail to you, but for the front office, there are 4 parts. Omni-channel. It can have scenario-based user improvement and scalability based on cloud, elastic O&M. The gray boxes here are those within this framework that are extremely important due to the pandemic. Some banks may think that we need to handle the pain point first and invest later, but you don't know how severe the impact of the pain points could be. And you need to have required digital capability. The pandemic forced the banks to fast track in these areas. Under the huge pressure, banks are forced to transform. So let's see how they react. Based on the capability framework, we looked at the KPIs and performance drivers for the banks. There are some gray boxes here. Those are greater improvements through COVID-19 driven initiatives. For example, engagement with customer, time to market. It can help improve the capital return and reduce the cost. So we see banks under huge pressure with low profitability and extremely low equity return. But some banks facing the challenge can improve their capability. So it feels like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Probably we should really cherish each crisis because each crisis is a test for us. It will make us stronger if we can get it through. If all banks are
facing the pressures together, then I think Huawei is also helping us to alleviate the pressure. And we're all in this together, and we're gonna go through. And I hope that all of us can go through the crisis, can navigate through the bad weather. Thank you, Zhu Jun. That concludes the session today. Again, a big thank you to all our guest speakers and audiences, both online and on-site. Today, we've learned about the joint solution developed by our partner and Huawei, and many more other insights presented by our speaker. And this is the end of our session. Thank you again for your attention. Feel free to scan the QR code for a survey, and then you can kindly go to the door and collect a small gift.
是的呀，老板他们不会来。先把东西装了吧，没事。这样吧，先放这儿，会有人来拿。